So basically, I could keep going and going because I've done this video probably 8 times, very unsuccessful. But today, we are going to fix the headliner for our sunroof in our Mercedes W140. Stay tuned. I'm going to be clipping in some footage from other videos I did where I failed, and we're going to make this one combined video with a perfect sunroof repair. Stay tuned. It's going to be awesome, guys. What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel, Pete's Carport. Thanks, guys, for tuning in, subscribing, liking, and sharing the videos. I'm excited to have the 1995 Mercedes W140, the black on black, back on the channel. We're doing things on it. So yesterday, I actually went and did some interior stuff, got it all polished up, cleaned up the entire car, and everything in this car is immaculate, in great shape, except for this big eyesore. And I know many of you guys are dealing with this same thing. These W140s are notorious for it, and many people have different problems, but they all kind of revolve around the headliner part falling off. Sometimes it breaks internal parts. I'm very fortunate that mine does go back and forward. There's nothing really jammed up in there. I got most of that out. I'm going to show you guys my solution to this. It's something I've been working on for a long time, and I think I finally got it to where this thing can look awesome again. Look stock if you want. There's many different ways to do it, but let's get into it now. And the first thing we're going to do is get the railing cleaned up. So stay tuned. You're going to love this video if you guys have a W140 out there. Let's get going. I would love to tell you guys everything went smoothly. I was able to reupholster our headliner, get it put in, and it looked great. But obviously, that is not the case. I ran into a lot of issues. I've attempted 3 different ways of doing this, and now I'm going to show you guys several different ways you can do it, some much harder than others, but keep in mind, the harder it is to do, the better the results. I'm also going to show you my way of doing it from a way that you don't have to go through all the issues I went through, and you're going to be able to make this headliner look awesome, function the way that you want it to function, and also get it to look professionally done. I'm going to show you where we're at right now, and as you can see, this is our original headliner right here. It is either like a fiberglass type substance. It almost looks like they took wood and kind of get like a resin substance on it. And because I was so interested in how this thing was put together, which let me tell you, it is way over engineered like everything on this car. And you can see there's some bracket pieces here. Taking this out the way I did was very difficult because I had to break some panels. And I'm basically going to be removing, this whole thing had riveted in a piece of plastic railing that allows the sunroof to basically be pulled back, and there's also a metal rail that goes down the middle here. I'm going to eliminate all of that, and basically I've got 2 different options I'm debating on doing. This piece here is a plastic piece that covers our bolts up in the front of the headliner. We're going to jump in the car in a second, and I'm going to explain to you what these are. These railings here actually rode along inside of our rubber that I'll show you inside the car, and when you lift it up, it would lift with it, and then this would kind of go along the railing. So originally, I was trying to get the sunroof to function after I removed this, and I thought I was in a world of trouble because I got jammed up, and I realized that it's a very heavy-duty motor, so even if you get jammed up, you can usually pull out anything that gets jammed in there and get it to work again. That's the great thing about this car, is they put in a very, very strong motor, and a lot of these sunroofs from other manufacturers, that's what goes on them. This one, what happens is they put so much into the way that it functions, the up, the down, the way that it pulls back, the sunroof itself, and how quiet and everything it is, that sometimes you get a broken piece of plastic, a bent piece of metal, and it will throw the whole thing out of whack. Or in my case, and in many of your cases, the sun gets to the actual fabric, the glue melts, and then glue gets all jammed up in there, the actual fabric gets jammed up in there, and it takes a while to get that out. Now, what I did was, you could technically take like a jigsaw and cut it along here, and then cut it along there, or even kind of straight down the center here. There's many options. You do have room between the glass, so that's the nice thing. You just got to be careful with the metal rod and the plastic. So I broke it because I was not trying to cut any of the pieces that I wasn't sure of where they were. In this case, you can see a little bit more up in there. But now what I'm going to do is actually take an epoxy and glue this back together. I've tested it. This will slide back in from the top, and that was solution number 2. I'm going to show you my first solution was, imagine this being up in the sunroof, was to basically, this piece here has, you know, about an inch or so that it rides up in there, so it rides along the metal rail. And so my idea was to get a real thin piece of wood, wrap it with fabric, and lay it on here. Actually, this was my second solution, because months ago I tried to basically in the vehicle spray this with fabric glue and lay a nice piece, but the problem I found is you'll never get it to wrap around like they do from the factory, and it just basically peeled back and got jammed. So second solution was to pre-wrap a thin piece of wood, and then have it so it only rode along about an inch in to where it rode along where the headliner was, but then rode along but basically jammed up in the back, which that's back area. So knowing that there was enough gap in the headliner to go, but I didn't have enough gap. So what happened was it jammed up the motor. I didn't want to break the motor, so I immediately pulled that down. Now the third solution, I thought I definitely was going to get it. I once again thought I needed a thinner piece of wood, and so I wrapped a nice thin piece of wood and realized it was warping too much. So this is now I basically glued on another piece thinking it would straighten it out. So it's more of like your cabinet backing size. Now it looks great. This is the fabric that we're going to go with. It is a diamond stitch. It looks awesome, but you see the gaps there? Okay, and so I was trying to get that other piece of wood to straighten it out. So this is kind of our final results, is what it's going to look like, but we're going to have it back onto our original piece of wood. Now, you can see how ugly this looks, and I don't want that, so we're going to basically fix this up so everything looks really good. And our plastic piece that you see over there rode along here and covered up the bolts. And what happened was, when I added this piece of wood to help the structure of our thin piece of backing, it snagged our plastic piece and broke it out. It's not a huge deal. I really want this plastic piece on there, and I'm talking about this piece here, because it covers up the bolts and gives it a nice clean finish. But it broke some of these pieces here, and I'm going to be able to probably super glue them back in, but I'm probably just going to go ahead and epoxy this whole piece back in there. So right now I'm going to jump back in the car, and I'm going to show you some of the things that you see here and how I remove them. Okay, now you can see that plastic piece basically snaps in here and covers up this kind of ugly bolt metal piece here. So I want to get that back in there. The second thing I wanted to maintain is these rubber pieces here that kind of give it a nice finished look. And basically those long metal strips slid through there and connected to the end here, and they basically would come down right along the railing. So when I removed this top and I basically broke it out, the original one, it bent this out of shape, and whenever I was trying to use it without this in, I was getting those all jammed up and I was having tons of issues. So I took that apart and slid those railings out, and now I've got nice functionality. You know, obviously the panel that I put in, because of that extra support, you see it grips it, and with that plastic piece it was actually jamming it. So what my intent now is to get this piece of plastic back in there, probably with some epoxy or some super glue or something, and fix those little tabs, and then possibly mount the entire new unit that we're going to wrap to that plastic, or see if I can put something on the edge here so that when I open it, it pulls it back, but I will be able to pull it forward like the original design behind it. But we'll see. I'm going to fill you guys in on what I come up with. Now, as I was saying earlier, I'm going to explain to you guys more difficult ways of doing this. The best way you can possibly do this is to remove your entire headliner. That is a huge task. There's lots of things that can break. You have an older vehicle, things might not go back in the way that they originally came out, and you can run into a lot of issues. So I'm going this route. Now, if you guys decide to go that route and you run into problems, I will do my best to help you. I've never taken this headliner off, and I know there's a lot to it. You've got, you know, even the handles there to gripping on. But let's get back to this. I'm going to basically go ahead and glue that piece up, and then we're going to get another piece of fabric and we're going to go ahead and wrap it. I'm going to show you guys how to do that, and then we're going to slide it back in. I'm going to show you real quick. I'm going to open this up and show you how you can pull this piece in and out. Okay, now that we have our sunroof all the way open, and I'm doing this from the top of the car, you can see now you can pull that piece and it comes out quite easily. And that will allow us to even wrap and slide our original piece back in. And the original piece is a little bit bigger because I cut this slightly smaller because I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to get it in. So that should slide in nicely, stay very secure. And then I'm going to show you guys which route I will go on securing this. And like I said, if you go the route of taking your time, taking this out and taking out the sunroof, you can remount that whole thing if your panel is not broken in any way and the functionality of your sunroof is working. You could easily mount that whole thing back in and have it nicely wrapped. But in my case, I've already went ahead and taken it apart, removed a lot of the pieces, and I still have full functionality of my sunroof, which I'm very happy about. And now I'm going to be able to customize my panel to be able to open how I want it to and look how I want it to. So let's go down to the store, let's get this thing glued up, and let's get started on our project. Okay guys, so let me fill you in on how we are going to put the fabric on. Right now I went ahead and put the fabric in my dryer to get rid of the wrinkles that naturally come when they fold them up. And after it comes out, we're going to use this spray here, and we're going to coat it heavily. We're going to lay out our fabric, and what you want to do is, if you have two people, it's a lot easier, but if you're doing it yourself, is to kind of press along here and then pull it and stretch it and get it to come down so that you get any of the creases out of it. We are not going to be cutting out our air vents, at least for now. That is something that we can probably do in the future, because this is going to be easily removable through that same way that I was showing you how we removed the one that was in the sunroof. The second effort that I did. Also, we are going to be putting the handle in. I do have the original handle. It's right over there. It did break while I was removing it, but I'll be able to super glue that back together. And we're going to basically roll it, wrap it around, and we want to roll it on each end corner this direction, but we're going to have to cut the fabric. And we want to leave about 2 inches to roll around. And that's going to leave us enough to glue it down. I've tried a few different glues, and I recommend just using this for everything. There are a couple good fabric glues out there. I highly suggest not using anything that's not clear, because I got it on my fabric quite a few times trying other different glues last time. And this glue dries extremely fast. We're going to be about 5 to 10 minutes and it's going to be fully tacked on there. And so we'll be able to put this in right away, whereas if you use like any type of liquid nail or any other type of glue gun type thing, you're talking possibly 24 hours because it's going to be underneath a fabric. Also, when it comes to fabric, you can use any fabric of your choice, but it would be nice if you can find something that has a padded lining. The one that we're going to be using, and I'm going to show you guys right before I install it, has a basically it's diamond stitch and it's double-sided, and it has a layer of basically thin padding between the two sides. So you basically, it's like a very light pillow type filling that they put in it. So it's very nice. It's going to keep this padded. It's going to squeeze our sunroof panel into there a little bit better, which if I can do this just right, once we put that plastic piece back in there, that should snag this just enough to naturally pull it back, but I will be able to manually pull it forward, and I'll explain that a little bit more once we put it in. I also went ahead and used an epoxy to glue this back together, and that worked really well. It was a 5-minute dry epoxy, and it hardened up really nicely, and now our cracks are very, very secure. They're not you know, giving us any issues. So all of that out of the way, let me go ahead and grab my fabric. Now you can iron this, you can spray it and hair dry it, spray it with some water and hair dry it, or you can throw it in the dryer with a little bit of water, and that we should take out any of the wrinkles. So let me go ahead and grab my fabric. I'm going to spray this down really heavily, get the fabric on there, and hopefully before it gets dark I can show you guys how this looks. Okay guys, time to fill you in a little bit on how it's going. It goes on very nice. This glue, you want to spray it on, give it about 2-3 minutes. It'll start getting really tacky if you spray it on thick. And then a little, basically, I'm going to fill you guys in here on a little trick that I learned, is to basically use clamps or pliers on the corners here to hold that down. Sorry, this is still very wet here. I'm trying to get it to stick. If you overspray, make sure it dries a little bit and then start tacking it down. Those are just little hints or little tricks that I've learned by doing this. This is my 4th time now trying to lay out this fabric, and you can see here, you still can see your cutouts for both your handle and your vents. And what that's going to allow me to do is use a pair of scissors and cut that out, and then from the other side we can press our plastic through and glue it on this side to stick in. And same thing with your vents, you will be able to cut that out at any point. I can slide this over, keep my sunroof open, and cut that out while it's even still mounted. So a little fill in. Other side, you'll see here, it's a little dirty right now. I need to wipe it down because I laid it down on the ground, but it comes out very nice and smooth. And if you have any wrinkles, like you can see a few there, you can take an iron to that once it's even up in the car or right before you put it in. So I'm going to let this dry. It doesn't take long, 10-15 minutes, and then we're going to try to place this in the car and see how it's working. Okay guys, I got everything in there. The sunroof slid in very smoothly. I've got our plastic handle back on. I did epoxy it. It's drying. Unfortunately, I got a little bit of glue on the plastic part, but I think I'm going to be able to clean that off. But as you can see, it came out very clean. Now, if you look at it, that's with the sunroof open. You can even see a little bit of light come through the panels, which is kind of neat. And obviously, you've got your handle. And there's a hair of a gap, but that is not going to be there once we close our sunroof. So let me show you. Closing the sunroof. And as you can see, that's fully closed. Now, the only thing I might do next, and I will update you guys in future videos, is reinstall the plastic cover, like I said, and I think that might actually grip the front of this and pull it back, but I'll be able to freely slide it open and close. But I absolutely love the way this came out. Now, the video does not justify how nice this looks, because any of the little spots you see are really just stuff I need to dust off because I had it on the ground for a little bit. Other than that, the fabric looks awesome. It came out very smooth. And I wanted to fill you guys in on this. It's going to be part of the title. The fabric was 1 yard. Okay, that cost me $7 or $8 with a discount at Joann Fabrics. I think I paid $13 today because I only had a 20% off instead of a 60. But phenomenal at that price. This is absolutely worth it. I was able to re-glue the original piece back together, so technically I did not need to buy any more wood. I was able to slide that piece back in and modify it. I was also just all I had to buy was that spray adhesive, which was another $13. So even with the 20% discount, I was $25 with tax and everything out the door, and I was able to put this whole thing back together. And I honestly think it looks better than the original stock. Now, anybody can argue that. You guys can do whatever your heart desires. Just keep in mind that you are going to see imperfections through a thin fabric, so make sure you do get something that's padded or something very thick, like a nice thick vinyl. I really think an Alcantara would look absolutely amazing if you can get your hands on some of that pretty cheap. But I'm actually loving this, and I might end up doing my pillars here wrapped in that, because that's something that could take off in the future. So let me know what you guys think. I really hope this video helped you out. You guys have been asking me to do this video for so long, and it's not that I've ignored it. Everybody wants the sunroof headliner videos because nobody really can fix them. You know, if you go to Mercedes, they're talking tons of money. And you can see how awesome this car looks. The interior looks amazing. I showed you guys that in the beginning. I love this car, and I love fine-tuning it. Another thing that's awesome, I did a video a little bit ago about the soft closed door on this side where I took apart the pump. After putting the pump back in, it actually worked 2 or 3 times, which tells me it's actually probably a malfunction in the pump. So what I'm going to do is probably pick up another pump and test it out, and now this car will kind of be coming together. The last things we need to do is finish painting our lower panels, and this will be the car exactly how I wanted it. So once again, my name's Pete. Sorry it was a long video, but there's a lot to this. This is, like I said, like my 8th time trying to get a nice, not just a fix-up sunroof headliner, but actually professional looking for $25. I hope this helped you guys out. Please message me if you have any questions, and share, like, and subscribe. Have a blessed day, guys.